The community of Ngcobo in the Eastern Cape, where 5 policemen were killed, say that they still live in fear almost 2 years after the attack. Well, the victims' families want compensation from the state, saying that their loved ones were breadwinners who died on duty. 5 suspects were arrested for the brazen attack on the police station. They're expected back in court in February next year. For more, we're joined by Atule. He is in Ngcobo, giving us more details. Atule, of course, the families say that they haven't been compensated. Some have mentioned that they had compensation of a once-off payout. What sort of compensation are they seeking?
Good morning once again to you, Shante, and good morning to SABC News viewers across the board. Well, when we spoke to the families, they did allude to the fact that the only money that they received was the pensions of the deceased, which was due to them. But the other money, such as the money of the deceased that they had passed away while they were on duty, they have never received any compensation. All the promises that were made, that some of the family members, they will be taken care of until they died, also that was not met as well. But I can tell you, Shante, after the 2 live crossings we had with you earlier on, me and some of my producers, we had deliberations that we must try and get some of the individuals, some of the locals, to get the sense that since they had alluded to the fact that they are living in a sense of fear around Ngcobo, since some of the Ngcobo brothers are back, since some of the luxury vehicles were returned. So we had deliberations that we must try and get some of the people, some of the locals from here in Ngcobo, to try and sort of get their voice heard, to try and sort of speak to us, to get this from the horse's mouth. But that those efforts have proved futile. People are really scared. They couldn't even try and come and speak off the record. So they are really scared. They are saying they cannot risk their lives to come and speak to us about this. I also put a call through to some of the persons that I know from here or is a member of SANCO to say, since you are SANCO, you are the vanguard of society, you are leading from the front, you are the leaders, you are the leadership of the community, you are the leadership of the members. Maybe perhaps you could be delving into this matter. Well, he said to me there was a project of people who were the front runners in this whole debacle. He said he was going to give me the contacts of that person who is a leader of a ward committee, which they call Ubodi. But that person said he will not speak because government is putting them in jeopardy, is putting them in dispute with the people in the locals, because this thing has seen some of the people being singled out, being targeted. So they said they won't risk it. They would take any chances to come forward and speak about this matter. So some of the people are back, and the luxury cars are back, and people here in Ngcobo, there is a sense of fear that is engulfing them. They are really scared. No one is willing to speak. As I was walking around, people were calling me, said, we want to appear on TV, we want to appear on TV. But once I mentioned the name of a church that was alleged to have caused this whole debacle, they backed off. They say they can't risk their lives because they don't know what could happen to them. So that is how the situation is standing at the moment. But the families are saying, please, anybody, can they please liaise with them and reach out to those families to tell them what has happened in regards to sort of get any sort of compensation as families, since they had lost their sons while they were on duty, since this matter was a public outcry, since there were promises that were made. They want to be kept on the loop. Some of them were saying they were not even kept on the loop with the proceeding of the court case, but they were saying, of course, they are not interested in the court case. Rather, they want to find closure, because that whole court case invokes something within them. But they were saying no one is coming to update them on what is happening. So this is how the situation is panning out here in Ngcobo, Shante.
Atule, with that being said, is the church still functional? Of course, you have mentioned that you weren't able to actually go onto the premises, but from the surroundings and the people that you've spoken to and what you've seen, is the church still functional?
Well, For now, maybe I can report on speculations, Shante. But when we got there were people around that house. We had heard that the church will be disbanded. It will be operational. We remember that the ministers and the members of a Human Rights Commission did go there to say the church won't be operational again, because some of the people that were rescued, they were taken to a place of safety, and some of those families were returned to their families. But some of the speculations that we had heard from people was that it had mushroomed elsewhere, and the members are still attending that church. And I also had the privilege with my former colleagues, we did visited some of the families. We visited one of the families, and some of those people were saying, of course, they still believe in that church. They believe that they are being wrong, they are being targeted, so they still believe that they were not in the wrong, so they believe in the proceedings of that church. At this present moment in time, this is how things stand. And locals here have described that church as a cult. They have described some of the things that have happened that as things that could have been prevented. As you do know that back in 2016 there were attempts by social development who had gone to that church and rescued some of the people who had gone to try and intervene, but it was not eliminated, or it was not eradicated. So we don't know what could happen next, as some of the people are back there. When we were there, the luxury cars were being driven around the yard. We saw some of the people were there. Some of the people who could not be found with sufficient and tangible evidence have also been released. And also the leader of the church, some of the charges that he is facing are not your very serious charges. He is facing the charge of a robbery of a local depot, but with the 5 suspects which are facing trial, are facing 5 counts of murder for the killing of 5 policemen. They are facing a count of a robbery with aggravating circumstances, since they had a robbery there, and they also confiscated some of the firearm here which they fled away with. They are also facing a count of attempted murder, because there was 2 ladies which were not killed, which were also told it was part of the church that they would not hurt females, but they had a thing against males. So those 2 police officers, I understand, I was told by a pop crew member that they have since been stationed in Mthatha. They have since been deployed elsewhere. They are no longer here at this police station behind me. So this is how things are at the moment. Those are the charges that they are facing. And also on that very same night, they also attempted to bomb a local ATM, but I cannot mention the name of the brand of that bank, but it's one of those new banks. But it was an attempted robbery which they couldn't find any money inside that bank. So this is how things stand at the moment. These are the dynamics that we are facing at the moment. And I can tell you now, the community here, no one is willing to speak to us on this matter. They are saying, if you mention the name Ngcobo, they just back down. They are saying they won't risk their lives, because once you are gone, they are back here and they will be targeted. And even the community are no longer, they are also in loggerheads when it comes to this issue. So when it goes back to court in February, we will see how things will pan out, and hopefully the families, most importantly and most notably, will find closure. Shante.
Thank you very much for giving us that update for SABC News. Our reporter Tula Joka in Ngcobo in the Eastern Cape, giving us more details as where the family sits 2 years on, still in fear and still silenced.